Hey guys, welcome back to AITA Stories channel.
Today I have 5 stories to share with you. Story 1, let's go.
Am I the asshole for cancelling my daughter's 16th birthday party? After warning her about it a year ago, throwaway because some people from my extended family use Reddit. English is my third language, so please excuse any mistakes. For my daughter's 15th birthday, my spouse and I paid for her to take some of her friends out to a restaurant for dinner. During this dinner party, my daughter got into an argument with one of her friends 15F. Apparently my daughter was upset that this friend gave her a cheap gift bought from a thrift store, according to her best friend 15F, who told us what happened. My daughter seems to like the gift at first and asked her friend where she bought it from. When the girl admitted it was from a thrift store, that is when my daughter lost it and called her names like cheap, gold digger, beggar and other classist insults. Now it is well known that this friend's family is not well off, but I know that she is a sweet girl who did her best to get my daughter a gift with her meager allowance. My spouse and I confronted our daughter about it, and she admitted she insulted her friend. She went on to insult her further by saying things like, this is probably the only way she gets to eat at a restaurant, so she should be grateful and give a decent gift. I don't know where my daughter learned such entitlement, but she did not learn it at home. Even her best friend was uncomfortable by her behavior. We immediately took away all her gifts and donated them. We also told her that unless she apologizes to this girl in front of everyone who was present at the party, we will not be sponsoring any more of her birthdays. My daughter never apologized, and over time, the girl drifted apart from the friend group. My daughter's 16th birthday is coming up next month, and she has started talking about what kind of party she wants. I reminded her of our promise that we would not fund any more birthday parties until she has apologized for her behavior at her previous party. Daughter is saying it's been a year, and the girl is no longer her friend anyway. She said her best friend is getting a sweet 16 party. Not a thing in my culture, and how will it look if she doesn't get one? We told her she still has a month to apologize, but she is not planning to do it because she thinks we'll cave. My in-laws are offering to pay for her party, but we have forbidden them from doing that. Daughter and both sets of grandparents are telling us that we are being too harsh and ruining her social life. WIBTA if we don't give her a birthday party this year. Story 2, let's go. Am I the asshole for telling a Down syndrome person and his mother to go away? I was on holiday with my husband and our 2 young boys, and we had sat down outside at our favorite cafe ready to order lunch. A man sat down at our table next to the boys and casually started a conversation with them, largely ignoring the adults, his focus entirely on our children. At first I was confused, especially since he inserted himself into our table with such easy familiarity that I spent several moments trying to remember who he was and where we knew him from. Then, realizing that the man was actually a complete random stranger, I sat dumbfounded a while longer at the serious breach of social etiquette. Finally, I grew alarmed at his obvious keen interest towards my children. I could think of no innocent reason why a strange adult would do this. My protective maternal instinct started kicking into overdrive. I was expecting my husband to step in and handle the situation, but he didn't, so the man sat uninvited at our table and carried on his conversation with my kids while I got silently angrier. The possibility of Down syndrome never crossed my mind. Any characteristic features on his face were too subtle to notice. Even my husband, who had grown up knowing a distant relation with Downs, didn't spot it in this man. Finally my patience snapped and I asked the man rather sharply to please leave us alone to enjoy our lunch in peace. The man immediately apologized very politely and left. I should add that I am not a friendly person by nature. Social interactions can make me anxious and stressed, and I have often struggled to regulate my emotions. Thus I was extremely wound up from the encounter, and still trying to simmer down. Some minutes later, an irate older woman came storming up to me at our table and started making a scene. She accused me of upsetting her son, who had Down syndrome. She was loud and angry, and drew attention from all the other tables. She, like us, was on holiday with family, and felt their holiday had been spoiled. For my part, I had no interest in engaging with her or discussing my encounter with her son, and only wanted her to go away. She thrust a card in front of my face, demanding that I should read the information about Down syndrome, so that I might educate myself and be more understanding next time. I was in no mood for this and threw the card away, then very firmly told her to leave me and my family alone. She stared a moment, probably realizing that I was as angry as she was, then left. That was the end of it. I'm not proud of my angry reactions, and I regret upsetting the man with Downs, who in hindsight was simply a lovely, harmless man who wanted to make young friends. I maintain that I couldn't tell he had Downs, or I would not have spoken to him so sharply. I still would not have allowed a stranger to sit at our table and engage with my kids, but I would have spoken to him much more kindly. I still think the mother was in the wrong to confront me and my family like she did. Story 3, let's go. Am I the asshole for building my teenage sons a bedroom in the backyard? My wife and I have 5 children together, 9M, 8M, 7M, 4M, 2M, and I have 3 children with my ex-wife, 1 7M, 1 5M, 1 3F. When I bought our current house, it had 4 bedrooms. I later renovated the basement to add another 2 bedrooms. My wife and I have 1 room. The 3 teenagers had a room each, and the youngest boys shared the other 2 rooms with various configurations over the years. As the younger boys get older, things are going to get more cramped for them, and we haven't ruled out having more kids. I also don't want to immediately take my older kids' rooms away the second they go to college, and maybe they'll stay local or no go at all. Because of this, I started looking at how I would add more bedrooms. The property our house is on is a little under 1 acre. Last year I decided I would build a den in the backyard that could become the older boys' bedrooms. The build was finished a few weeks ago and the boys have moved in. They have a small shared living space that includes a kitchenette, a shared bathroom, and they each have their own rooms. It's essentially a tiny house in our yard. They boys love it, and we had a lot of fun working on the build together. My ex-wife, however, is less than pleased with the boys' new living arrangements. She has multiple safety concerns as she thinks they are too far away if something happens, and that they will feel like they could get away with whatever, as I can't monitor them well. She also thinks it's unfair they will have to walk through a yard to get to and from their bedrooms to the house, even in adverse weather conditions. She feels as though I'm pushing the boys away by housing them in the backyard, and that it suggests I'm prioritizing my new family, while at the same time thinking giving them a cool den in the backyard is favoring them over their sister. I think her biggest issue is the one she didn't mention, which is worrying the boys will want to spend even more time at my house if they have more privacy and great place to hang with their friends. We no longer split custody based on our custody agreement, and for the last few years the boys have lived the majority of the time with me, whereas our daughter alternates between our houses every 2 weeks. My ex is trying to make it out like I'm a massive asshole in this situation, but I really don't feel like I am. However, in the past I haven't always known when I have been an asshole, so maybe I'm missing something. AITA Story for let's go. Am I the asshole for suggesting my goddaughter rethink her career choices? I'm a 41-year-old guy, and one of my friends Mike asked me to be goddaughter to his little girl Chloe. When she was born, I accepted happily, and we've always had a good relationship. I especially used to enjoy helping her out with schoolwork and projects alongside my own kids, because Chloe was always extremely academic. She always got top grades, and her parents assumed she'd go to medical school, as she had expressed wishes to be a doctor from a really young age. Mike, his wife, and Chloe moved a little further away a few years back, meaning I didn't see them for a long while. We kept in contact online though. Recently though, we all met up for dinner to catch up. I asked Chloe, now 17, what medical school she'd be attending, and she told me that she didn't want to do that anymore. Instead, she told me she wanted to be a gardener. I don't think she has it quite figured out yet, but something involving horticulture because she loves nature. I was a little surprised, but her parents explained that another factor was her anxiety diagnosis, meaning she was interested in finding a job that would be a little less life or death, literally, as well as giving her the chance to work alone and be outside in nature. I said something along the lines of, but you always wanted to be a doctor, you'd throw those dreams away. I know it could sound harsh, but I know what she always dreamed about, and I love her like my own, so I want for her what I want for my kids, to be happy in a stable and professional job. I also mentioned that becoming a gardener is not a cure for mental illness, at which point Chloe and her parents went quiet and we didn't talk much more. For the remainder of the evening, Mike took me aside before they left and told me I'd upset Chloe and angered them by pushing the subject, and that if gardening is what she wants to do, then that's the end of it. My wife chewed me out too. I just can't help but feel she's throwing away something she's always wanted for an easier option in the present rather than buckling down to secure a good future. Good things in life are never easy after all, so AITA Story 5, let's go. Am I the asshole for kicking my daughter's gay friend out over accusations? My wife and I are in no way homophobic, but we have the same rule for all of our guests. So basically, my 15-year-old daughter has a friend who is a lesbian. They've had many sleepovers and she's very polite. They are very close, share the same bed, cuddle when they go to sleep, are inseparable. Our younger son, age 12, told us that our daughter was dating this said friend, and he saw them kiss earlier that night. My wife later went to try and check up on the kids and say goodnight, but our daughter's door was locked. When my wife knocked, it took a few minutes and panic before the door was unlocked. We have no issue with our daughter being into women, but we have the same rule for our oldest son. No females or anyone he's romantically interested in spending the night. I had my wife drive the friend home, in which my daughter was really angry at me, accused me of being homophobic, and said I was kicking her friend out for no reason. She's still very angry at me, AITA. Thank you. Leave a comment below.